Watch the show?
Yes, I watched the show, Tamar.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who this is, your girl KylerB coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about the Traitors US Season 3 finale and reunion, or episodes 11 and 12. So let's get right into the video. So episode 11, the finale. It was basically a tie between, or basically we had a tie with Danielle and Ivar. Danielle and Ivar couldn't vote for the next, round of votes. So Dolores said Ivar, Gabby and Dylan both said Danielle. It was down to Brittney's vote. So Brittney, I guess she said she saw Dolores, basically was like, oh, it's gonna be Danielle. So Brittney votes for Danielle. Danielle was shook, like, really? You kind of did me dirty on reindeer games, and now you're doing me dirty hair.
Annie, I thought my vote wouldn't save you.
Did it to me again.
Like, even if you thought I was gonna still go home, why couldn't you have had my back and still vote for me? Still, like, you could have just still put my name down. You're like, oh, I don't think my vote was gonna save you. This is final 5. This is final 5, final 6. You don't have any more votes to be like, oh, I don't think it's gonna save you. Like, girl, that 1 to 2 votes matter. Those 1 to 2 votes count. So the fact that you still was like, I don't think my vote's gonna save you. You could have still voted with Danielle. Like, come on. Like, why didn't you? So she did her dirty. So that's 3 against 1. Dolores was the only one who had her back, which is kind of ironic. And she had the most votes. So Danielle was just very upset because it's just like, you did me dirty on reindeer games, and now I brought you in. You weren't a traitor originally, but I brought you in. I thought I trusted you to have my back and go to the end together. And you still do me dirty again. So everybody, like, Dylan was surprised too. Like, wow, you voted for her? So, Danielle, she got banished. She was like, Dylan, I meant everything. Thank you, Ivar. Queen, Gabby, whatever. And then she was like, Brittney, really? Again?
Brittney. Wow. But I said I was going to come in this game and play for my family by any means necessary. Of course, I'm definitely a traitor.
And Brittney's like, breaking down and crying, like, it's not again. I really thought, my vote wouldn't count. And she just like, I said I was gonna do anything it takes to get play for my family, and I am a traitor. And Danielle was banished, so everybody was just like, wow, Danielle really played the game. Brittney was distraught. But then that also, Brittney, we find out from Alan that Brittney won the seer power, and that basically meant that Danielle mostly won the seer power. If we're keeping it real, Danielle had the most money going into the round table, and more than likely she probably won the seer power, but she got banished. So the next best person to win the seer power was Brittney. Brittney ends up using the seer power on Gabby. Finds out Gabby's a faithful. Dylan's over here trying to be like, oh, well, if Brittney says that Gabby's a traitor, then we're gonna make sure that they're suspicious. But if she comes back and says that they're faithful, then we gotta come up with a different plan. Come to breakfast, Brittney basically was like, Gabby's a faithful. So basically, he's just like, wow, well, I don't think a traitor will say that. So he's kind of like a little bit iffy on, Gabby and Brittney, whatnot, so forth. They go to the challenge, but I'm like, after Danielle got banished, I was just like, it is what it is. Like, I don't even think Brittney winning would have been like fulfilling to me, because I'm just like, it just wouldn't felt right, to be real honest. She just got being a traitor the episode before. Her basically, winning the game wouldn't have felt right. No offense, no shade. But anyways, they did a challenge, came back. Dylan's just like, yeah, I'm gonna go after Brittney tonight. So at the round table, he goes after Brittney. But Brittney's like, I got a defense team here.
I think there's more evidence for Dylan than anybody else at the table, if I'm being honest.
I'm a little blown away by the attack on me tonight.
So you can say that you think I'm a traitor, but I can't say that you could be a traitor. That's how it works?
No, you can't.
So she basically came up with facts, basically saying, there's more, ties of you being a traitor than me. Like the competition to get into seer power, you were willing to do whatever it takes, even lose money just to get that seer power, and that seemed like what a traitor would do. And yeah, so she was basically like clocking him, like really going after him, and she had like a strong argument.
The way you're attacking me, I feel like you're a traitor even more
What
than
should
I
I
did
do,
before.
Dylan? Let you tell me that you're going to vote for me, and me sit quietly and go, okay, Dylan, that's okay.
No, it's
Don't
just
worry,
like,
just vote for me. No, I'm going to defend myself.
okay, defend. Go.
But at the end of the day, Dolores, Ivar, and Gabby still voted with Dylan to get Brittney out. But Brittney's defense was very strong against Dylan. But it just didn't work. But the thing is, with that banishment, they didn't have to tell if they were a traitor or a faithful. So they decided to end the game. Go to the fire thing, basically to end the game. Dylan was going in there, feeling very nervous because Brittney basically had a big argument against him. So everyone's like, she had a really big argument against you, and I just, I don't know if we banished the faithful or not. So they kind of just like, I hopefully Dylan's not lying to me, whatever. Dylan decided to end the game. Dolores decided to end the game. Gabby end the game. Ivar end the game. So they ended up ending the game. They were all faithfuls at the end, and all the faithfuls won the $204,300.
The faithful.
And that was the end of the season. It was a very chaotic season that ended off with the faithfuls winning, which was like, all right. So Danielle final 6, Brittney final 5, and the 4 faithfuls won the game. So we head on to the reunion. So the winners won, and it was just like, yeah. Then the traitors came in. So Carolyn, she's still kind of giving bitter Betty about how Danielle treated her, basically saying like, it's my personality, that's my real personality, I'm not really faking it, I'm not really blah blah blah, like this is how I really acted, like even though you say my personality or how I acted helps me win these game shows, like it's like, it's hurtful to me. So then they asked her, Andy asked Danielle, like, did you respect Carolyn? And she was just like, we just didn't agree on in the turret, but she didn't disrespect her. I think people were kind of like saying like, for the Forrest Gump comment, but I'm just like, she was just basically saying like her tactics, or basically how she acted, was giving off Forrest Gump. She never really called down on Carolyn's character or anything like that. She was just saying like how you act in the game was giving Forrest Gump, like you basically being confused, doing all these facial movements or whatever was giving Forrest Gump and stuff like that. And I guess people didn't like it, but she was a traitor at the end of the day. It wasn't like she was just going off like she wasn't a traitor. She was a traitor. Gabby ended up saying like, oh, I feel like you didn't just respect Carolyn. Carolyn, from day one, she could have voiced her opinion, basically say what she wanted to happen in the turret. She didn't. From the first day in the turret, she was going at with Danielle, going back and forth with Danielle. Danielle was giving her a chance to like speak her case, whatever, but she was just like, oh no, blah blah blah, like not really giving a proper answer. When she went after Danielle in the turret and was like, oh, let's go after Danielle then, when she said it to Rob, Danielle was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna sit down and take it. The thing is that Danielle telling both Gabby and Dylan about the whole, oh, I think Carolyn is this, and they went back to Carolyn to say what Danielle said was kind of like the biggest thing that kind of like changed the game for Danielle a little bit, because if they never went back to Carolyn to say what Danielle said, you know, they probably would have been okay. I don't know. Anyways, you know, Carolyn was giving Bitter Betty. Danielle couldn't even speak a word in. They bring in Brittney in, and Brittney was like, oh, I only spoke to you before Reindeer Games, you know, 3 days prior. Like, I only spent 3 hours prior with you. But the thing is, no matter what reality game show, like even on Big Brother, you never met these people from Adam. But once you decided to create an alliance and work together with a person, and the person in your alliance decided to, you know, do you dirty, there's people to this day still keeps grudges and feels betrayed by people that they met only on one game show. They never met each other prior to that. She's like, oh, Danielle thinks that we've been friends for years and da-da-da-da, like basically trying to undermine Danielle. But I'm just like, if you and her decide to work together on something, like be an alliance, and you decide to turn your back on an alliance, it doesn't matter how long you know the person, you still did them dirty. So it's not like that's not the case that Danielle's mad.
Thing is, from the outside, it looks like you do Danielle dirty, and then you're like, I can't, and then you start crying, like, I can't believe I did that. But you didn't have to. You didn't have to do it on the Reindeer Games, and you didn't have to do it on the Traitors.
There's people on Cirie's season, people still feel like Cirie did them dirty. And they never met Cirie from a day in their life. That like those was their first interaction with Cirie, and people still feel like Cirie did them dirty. And like, it doesn't matter how long you knew Danielle before working on Reindeer Games. If you guys still said that you're going to be an alliance, then it is what it is. Danielle never said that it was, you know, she was your friend for years. I think she even told Carolyn, you know, we're not best friends. That's not my best friend. But, you know, they thought they could rekindle their, you know, friendship, you know, work together. It seemed like they were reconnecting, and she still ended up doing her dirty. She said, well, Danielle was just like, I would have been hypocritical for me to like hold it against you because it is a game show. I am a game player. But, you know, I was angry that she did me dirty. So, you know, Brittney was trying to defend herself, but I'm just like, you still did the girl dirty. And Danielle was just like, if we ever go onto another game show, I would not be working with you. I would, like, you know, Dolores was like, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But she's like, you know, you should have got voted out from her. But, I mean, you know, if you wanted to get back into Danielle's good graces, you should have voted with her. You should have voted with her. Regardless. Because Danielle didn't have to bring you into the trade. She could have just killed you on the spot or had Carolyn, you know, get you off from jump. Okay? So, anyways, you know, they weren't really letting Danielle talk. You know, they really weren't. They were speaking over her a lot. Dolores, who basically, you know, Danielle basically owned up with the whole swearing on her grandkid situation. And, you know, she was like, you know, Danielle and Dolores connected over the whole, you know, kid situation, being, you know, a Christian with faith, like her father was a pastor.
Danielle, did you do that? Did you swear on your grandkids more than once? More than once you did?
Oh, sure did. Absolutely.
And so, how do you reconcile that?
That money wasn't life-changing, but it would have made a big impact for my family, where I come from.
Same. I was there for the money. If
I was there for the money.
I was thinking about anything else besides the dollar sign emoji, this one with the dollar signs, you're dead wrong.
Alyssa.
I'm not a traitor, I'm a faithful. And she's like, yeah, I'm not a traitor, I'm a faithful, you know, too. And she swore on her grandkids. And she's like, you know, that really worked. And she's like, you know, well, Dolores was like, you know, I wouldn't trust that ever again. But you really did, you ate that up. And she basically gave props to Danielle. What else? Bob, the drag queen, he was trying to, like, Dorinda came after him, basically saying, like, oh, I didn't like how you said, oh, I don't know her, and basically trying to get your 10 minutes, 15 minutes of fame. But I'm just like, you know, Bob drag queen was basically saying, like, you know, I didn't know anybody, but I just said what I said. Like, you know how, like, Bob is a drag queen. Like, he's gonna be like that. Like, that's how he is. He shaded Dylan Efron's brother, Zac Efron, in the round table. Like, he's a drag queen. Like, he's gonna be dramatic and he's gonna say things like that. And Dorinda didn't like that, so is what it is. Ion, even though she was basically like, you know, having like this little passive aggressive banter with Bob, you know, he said I spoke to Ion. They're on good terms. Like, I never spoke to Dorinda, but Dorinda seems like she's bitter about that whole comment that he made on her. And yeah, you know, it seems like that's still a little bit beef brewing. You know, they talked about Boston Rob starting the whole domino effect of killing off, or basically banishing Bob the drag queen. How Dylan was basically like, you know, Rob's puppeteer, essentially like being a rookie to be, you know, slain to the slaughter at the end of the game. In the day, you know, it was a decent reunion. Danielle won the Oscar award for how she acted. People still saying like, oh, it wasn't, you know, I didn't have to put on, you know, an act. I feel like when Danielle really cried, she cried for Bob the drag queen, which was real tears. She cried for Derek, which was real tears. So I don't feel like, you know, all of her tears or all of her, you know, feelings were an act. She does care about Dylan, like her and Dylan gave her props too. Like Dylan gave her props. You know, I don't think Derek and her are on bad terms. I don't think Brittney and her are on bad terms. She's not, you know, cool how Brittney did her dirty, but you know, they gave her props. So I don't know why people are still like, oh, Carolyn and like Gabby were real to their core. How is Carolyn being a traitor still being real? She lied to you. She lied at the end of the day, you know? So why are we giving Carolyn props, but because Danielle was being, you know, over the top with her performances or whatever, you didn't like how she played and you want to call her down? And then they addressed the whole how they think that Danielle said something to I think Dylan and Brittney about her being a traitor, and Danielle's like, we have NDAs and we have to honor them, so I think just people just lying on you. But the rumor came from Carolyn, okay? And you know, Carolyn was mute, you know, she thinks she knew T or whatever, and you know, she was the one who carried that rumor on for people to come say something, and they were like, no, that's not true. Brittney was like, that's not true. Danielle was like, that's not true. Yeah, that was basically the reunion. They got renewed for season 4. I'm upset that Danielle didn't win, but you know, it is what it is. She played a really good game. She ended up being the longest traitor to stand these 8 round tables. So, you know, good for the faithfuls for winning, but you know, it was very like an underwhelming end to a chaotic season. Like, it was very underwhelming to a chaotic season. Hopefully season 4 will do a better job. Cirie is still the only traitor from the US season to win the game. Only traitor from the US season to win the game. Like, Cirie ate that. This was the Traitors US season 3 finale and reunion. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns, and subscribe to my channel, subscribe. Anything you guys watching this video, peace.